Well, I'm joined now by defence and security analyst, Professor Michael Clarke. Good to see you, Michael. First of all, what do you make of that statement from the Russian embassy to the UK? Not particularly surprising. They're saying it's a research vessel, there it is on the big screen, and that Russia is not interested in British underwater communications.
Well, they're absolutely right. It is an oceanographic survey vessel. It has submersibles with it, so it can launch mini submarines that can go down to about 6,000 metres anywhere in the continental shelf and quite a lot of the Atlantic. So, yes, it's a research vessel. So the issue is, why does it research our cables and pipelines all the time? You know, why are they so interested in hovering over the cables? I mean, a lot of the transatlantic cables, the internet cables, 97% of the internet is on cable, only a little bit is on satellite at the moment. And a lot of cables coming across the North Atlantic come in at Land's End. So just off Cornwall. Where does the Antar hang around? In Cornwall. We've seen it there. And the Irish Sea. Again, more cables around the Irish Sea. It's always hanging around the areas that we know are sensitive. And we know that it's been mapping pipelines and so on. So the Russians can say it's hysteria, but you've only got to look at the tracking. I mean, we've got pretty good versions of the tracking of this vessel because everybody's watching it, not just us, but other NATO allies. And so we know from where it goes that it hangs around in very sensitive areas.
And it's not the first time. It's been in UK waters. It's the second time this year, isn't it? Is that
second time this year, and it's been there before. It's been off the Cornish coast, been off through the English Channel. And you know, the Navy always tracks it. Other NATO navies are involved as well. You know, one Navy hands it on to another Navy, so we keep with it all the time. And the Russians know that. But this is a ship of the Northern Fleet, so it's a military ship, part of the Northern Fleet. They've got one with their Pacific Fleet as well. They've got two of them. They're building a third one, apparently. So they've got two of these oceanographic survey ships, and they both do the same sort of thing. So there it is. In that case, that's a Daring-class destroyer. That's a Type 45, one of our latest destroyers, which is tracking it on an earlier visit. And all we can do at the moment is track them because they're in international waters. But John Healey was, as it were, implying, he said, well, look, we have military options, which we're not going to talk about, but if that ship turns south, at the moment it's in northern Scotland, he said, if it turns south, and presumably he means if it enters into territorial waters, then we will make a military response.
What does that mean? Well,
I would imagine it means arresting it in some way. I mean, or you can, as it were, play games with it and push it out of the, you know, threaten a collision unless it goes out of the way. There's things you can do there. We had experience of that during the Cod Wars with Iceland many years ago, and that's pretty dangerous stuff. And he didn't say what our military response would be, but he used this word military response, not just diplomatic response, not just sanctions or getting the ambassador in or whatever it might be, a military response. So whether the Russians take that seriously or not, we don't know, but it was a very deliberate choice of words on his part. And Yvette Cooper, speaking with her German counterpart, Johan Wunderpohl, she actually repeated the same phrase, a military response.
And in terms of how we monitor it, obviously we can see the ship here. We know that RAF pilots have been monitoring it as well because there have been lasers shone at the planes. What else are we doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a submarine around. I mean, the Navy surfaced a hunter-killer submarine next to it on a previous occasion to show that it was being tracked, and that was quite a big moment. And the aircraft are Poseidon P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft flying from Lossiemouth, and they report that the Antar was putting lasers into their cockpit, shining lasers into the cockpit, which you could regard as a hostile act. It's a very dangerous thing to do, and you could regard that as hostility. And if the Russians are going to do that, getting closer and closer to the line of outright confrontation, then sooner or later there will be a confrontation.